Hello, beta. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that all of you had gone ahead and given a very good exam of microeconomics yesterday. Today, you should start preparing yourself for the next exam, which is going to be Intermediate Macroeconomics. Now, as far as Intermediate Macroeconomics is concerned, beta, the first thing that you need to go ahead and you need to do is you should be starting with unit 1, right? Now, what I would like to go ahead and suggest to all of you is that you should be giving today to go ahead and do unit 1 thoroughly, complete unit 1. And then the next thing that we will be focusing on, that will be unit 3, right? Unit 2 is a very small unit and that should be picked up at the last. Pehle hum unit 1 pe focus karenge. So today I am going to go ahead and give you a list of 10 important questions. This is part 1, beta. I will give you 5 more important questions, but this is 10 important questions from unit 1, beta. 10 important questions from unit 1. This is what I'm going to go ahead and focus on today. So please keep writing these questions along with me, beta, because these questions are the only questions which can come from unit 1. And you might have noticed by now that whatever I am telling you, that kind of paper only will come in exam. So pehla question dekhte hain, beta. This says, what is time inconsistency of optimal policy? How can we establish credibility? This can come for 7 to 8 marks. जिसमें you will go ahead and you will explain कि time inconsistency बोलते किसको है, what is called as time inconsistency. तो जहां पे the moment you start reading your book, जहां पे it talks about कैसे बार्गेन होता है ड्यूरिंग किडनैपिंग, उसके इमीडिएट बाद इट टॉक्स अबाउट द टाइम इनकंसिस्टेंसी थ्योरी ऑफ ऑप्टिमल पॉलिसी. होस्टेज टेकिंग के बाद ओनली इन द बुक इट इज गिवन, सो यू विल गो अहेड एंड राइट दैट आंसर. And also you will talk about credibility. There are a few pointers given how you can establish credibility. Try to write down all those points very well. Second question, beta. The second important question from the point of view of exam is this. What is inflation adjusted deficit, right? And on this, beta, इसी के बहुत सारे synonyms हैं. So you should be aware about all synonyms. किस किस नाम से इसको बोला जाता है? You have to be aware about all synonyms. कोई भी एग्जाम में they can go ahead and ask you. And at the same time, you need to prepare yourself well with this equation. इस equation पे there is a chance that a numerical can be asked. Right? Just for example, they may give you they may give you last year's value of B, and they may ask you how much primary surplus is required in this year if you want a particular value of BT, or if you want this year B to be 0. Right? So this kind of questions can be asked in exam. So you need to prepare this equation well. इस पे एक numerical भी आ सकता है. The third question, beta, it goes ahead and says, consider a government which took debt in period 0 and it wants to go ahead and stabilize debt in period T. Now here, instead of period T, they can say it wants to stabilize debt in period 1, it wants to stabilize debt in period 2. ऐसे कुछ भी करके दे सकते हैं. They can also specify T का value. They can go ahead and give you some value of T. So question is, what measures will it take? माने you need to explain the equation of debt stabilization. वो equation को आप explain करोगे. Right? Then it says, how is Ricardian equivalence established in this aspect? Which means you have to explain Ricardian equivalence then. And tell what Ricardian equivalence tells. क्या Ricardian equivalence क्या बोलता है वो explain करने की कोशिश करनी है. Question number 4, beta. What are the factors that impact debt to GDP ratio? On this, again, I am expecting that एक numerical. So from unit 1, basically, there will be one numerical that will be asked in exam. Exam में एक numerical आएगा unit 1 से. So it can be on either of the equation. जहां पे भी मैं लिख रही हूँ numerical on application, it means that a numerical can be asked. So here the numerical is going to be on your this. So इस case में what they will go ahead and do ना, they may go ahead and give you some value of nominal interest rate, inflation. तो nominal minus inflation करके you will find out the real interest rate. They may go ahead and they may give you some value of G, कुछ एक G दे देंगे, which will be growth rate. They will give you last year's debt to GDP ratio, right? And they will ask you what is required, how much primary surplus to GDP would be required to get a particular value here. तो इस equation के basis पे they may go ahead and give you a numerical for 4 to 6 marks, and therefore it is very important कि इस equation को आप ढंग से पढ़ो ताकि इसके basis पे एक numerical आप solve कर पाओ, right? Okay. Now the next question that can be asked in exam is define cyclically adjusted deficit. Again बेटा जो भी इसके synonyms हैं, you must be well aware about all the synonyms, right? You have to be well aware about all the synonyms and किस किस नाम से इसको बोलते हैं. Why are wars related to passing burden of deficit? तो वहां पर in your book you have a section which says wars and deficits. It will not come as an independent question but as a sub part of one of the questions. तो उसको हम अच्छे से we will go ahead and explain it here. Second, next question. Private saving increase one with deficit justified. So basically, beta, I have gone ahead and I have taken this statement from the section of Ricardian equivalence. और ऐसा बहुत बार ये होगा, it will happen many times that they will go ahead and they will ask you a question based on one of the important liners from the book. तो जो भी lines italics में लिखी होती हैं, whatever lines are mentioned in italics or in inverted commas, try to remember those lines because they can go ahead and say examine, justify, और वो एक स्टेटमेंट दे देंगे. सो आइडियली दिस इज अ स्टेटमेंट आई हैव टेकन फ्रॉम रिकार्डियन इक्विवेलेंस एंड यू नीड टू गो अहेड एंड यू नीड टू एक्सप्लेन रिकार्डियन इक्विवेलेंस thoroughly in this question. Next question beta. Why is high debt related to a vicious cycle of debt to deficit? तो यहां पर आप बताओगे कि जब हम हाई डेट लेते हैं तो कैसे वो फ्यूचर में डेफिशिट कॉज करता है और फिर डेफिशिट को सॉल्व करने के लिए फिर से डेट लेते हैं एंड इट कॉजेज अ विशियस साइकिल. So you need to explain this. Again, on this, there can be a numerical that can be asked, right? So they can go ahead and they can ask you that if the government is taking this much debt last year, how much deficit would it cause this year, and so on and so forth. Yeah, how much surplus is required to stabilize the debt. So this kind of numerical can be asked in exam, and you need to make sure कि आप इस unit से related इन numericals को properly practice करें. Across the numericals you will realize कि equation यही use होगी. Either you will be using out this equation or you will be going ahead and using this equation. So the numerical will not be very difficult per se. It is going to be easy. बस ये दो equations को you need to remember. Okay. Now the next question that can be asked in exam is this. What is debt structuring or rescheduling? Why do governments do haircut? ये एक important term है. It can be used in your exam. So why do governments do haircut and how does it impact the economy? तो इस case में you need to explain what happens when government is not able to repay the debt. अगर government पूरा पैसा नहीं दे पाती है and then government will only go ahead and repay partly. तो वो वाला जो पूरा aspect है बेटा, you need to go ahead and explain this here. Okay, next question. What is money growth targeting and how is it different from inflation targeting? Again, this is an important question from exam point of view. Why beta? Because in exam usually वो आपको दो targets को compare करने को भी दे देते हैं. They will go ahead and say contrast between inflation targeting and money growth targeting, which is more good from the point of view of economy. Which is better, which should the government use? तो इन चीजों like this, you know, they will ask you to compare or analyze which is the better one. तो इस चीज पे there can be a question and you need to do these well. Question number 10, beta, last question for today. So define Taylor rule. How can inflation target me? I think I used this word incorrectly. How can inflation target be met using interest rate rules? Right? So this is the question that is going to be on one. Interest rate rule को अच्छे से explain करना है. Taylor rule को अच्छे से explain करना है. And again, there can be a numerical which can be asked on Taylor rule. So what they will do now? They will give you your target inflation. They will give you your natural rate of unemployment, and they may ask you that find your interest rate in the economy if your target interest rate is this much, and the parameters A and B will be given to you. So something or the other, kuch manipulate karke, using this equation, they may go ahead and they may give you a numerical in exam. So these are the 10 important questions from unit 1, beta. And one of these questions will definitely be asked in exam. I can give you in writing. So please go ahead and practice these questions. Jahan par I have mentioned that a numerical may be asked, please उन equations को अच्छे से कर लेना, ताकि किसी भी तरीके से न्यूमेरिकल पूछा जाए, टारगेट इंटरेस्ट रेट देकर इन्फ्लेशन गैप पूछा जाए, या अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट रेट के गैप को देके इंटरेस्ट रेट करेंटली इकोनॉमी में पूछा जाए, you should be able to go ahead and solve the questions well. They will be based out of this equation only. So you need to practice wherever I have mentioned an equation. You need to practice those equations well, because there can be a numerical based on these questions. So this is it from unit 1. I will just repeat myself that from all units, for students who have enrolled, I have given you MCQs to be practiced. उन MCQs को अच्छे से करना है, because an MCQ is part of your final exam. So you need to revise the MCQs also from each and every chapter. Apart from this, it is my high suggestion that whenever you read anything from the book, you make important pointers from the book, because MCQs are very tricky a lot of times. वो एकदम पैराग्राफ के अंदर से कहीं से निकाल के कोई MCQ देंगे. So you need to make sure that you read each paragraph very well. You have a lot of days in your hand to be used. So I will go ahead and suggest कि पूरा का पूरा unit 1 you go ahead and you revise today itself. It is 1 o'clock. अगर आप 12 to 14 hours बैठते हो, तो you should be able to do unit 1 very well. Okay, beta, thank you very much. I will go ahead and meet you again tomorrow, and I will tell you the important questions from unit 3 of macroeconomics. Thank you.